Welcome to Can I Speak to Your Product Manager, the nitty gritty with your favorite PMs. I'm Kyle Kolich, VP of Product at Zora.
And I'm Lucas Weber, Director of Product Management here at Zora. On today's episode, we have Blanca Foncillas, Head of Product at Breathwrk. And we're going to start off the show, as usual, with a little game of Ship It or Skip It to get to know our guest better.
What do you want to do?
Let's do it.
No.
No. Maybe. Yes.
That's right, Blanca. We as a product manager, you have to, know when to, ship a product, bring it to market, or skip it because it's not quite ready for prime time and needs to another crank at the wheel here. So we're going to start off with an interesting one. I was looking at headphones the other day because I was needed headphones, and this one popped up on my feed, which I'm not sure why, but it was called the kitten headphones. Now it's not for kittens. It's actually for people, but it looks like you're wearing a kitten ears. So within the kitten ears, and then you have headphones, and it's appealing to those who are into kittens and cats. But it also allows those ears are speakers. So if you want to broadcast your own music or music that you're listening to others, they can hear it as well. So kind of a dual use of the headphone technology. So first test, would you ship this or skip this product?
Well, I mean, I think if I think about it, it definitely has a novelty appeal. There's a niche market for this, for sure. I can see it in either younger adults or kitten lovers. Mm-hmm. If we go back to the beginning of memes and YouTube days, people are obsessed with cats. Yeah. I'm not so sure about the long-term market sustainability of it. People like modern, sleek headphones. But you know what? I would ship it. I like the
give it a go.
I want it in the market.
We'll ship it out. We'll see what happens. I think you can always try it out. See. I thought the interesting was the speaker out of it. I don't think I've seen headphones that actually can broadcast what you're listening to, but then it kind of defeats the purpose of headphones. But
no, that's what got me. If I want to share the love of a new bop.
That's true.
Yep.
Easily do
What
it.
are you listening to? Well, I'm glad you asked. Hold on.
Listen, yeah. Good. All right. So that's we'll take that one out as we're going to ship that one, test the market, see where we go. All right. Number 2. Now I was doing laundry this weekend and it was very tiresome. We had I have 2 kids, so it was a lot of loads. Now this is what they're calling the laundry heap. It's everyone uses the Uber of, but this is the Uber for clothes, where you can use your app, have it pick up on the same day, dry cleaning as well, and they'll bring it back. I believe there's a limit within the day, but if you do it in the morning, you get in the afternoon. But you book it through your app, and it's a service to do your laundry called Laundry Heap. Is this a product that you think will have legs and you should ship it, or not ready for prime time?
I don't even want to do research on this. I just say ship it.
Oh, okay. All right. We're just shipping it. We're just saying, you know what? Here's the funding. Go for it.
My money.
You got me. Now the pricing we have to figure out, but yeah, if you do the price right, it does sound like it's solving a pain.
Oh, big time. And if it has the same sort of Uber model, let's go for it.
All right. So we're 2 for 2. 2 for 2. All right. The third one. Now, for some reason, I don't know why I'm the cat theme. I don't know. I think when I looked up cat and I looked more about the cat headphones, it brought more cat inventions to my queue.
This will not help with your ads, by the way.
No,
Kyle.
I will definitely get a YouTube of kitten videos coming my way. Which
you
is
are doomed, my friend. It was nice.
Not a bad thing. It's very relaxing. So if you live in the city sometimes, or you live in the country, you may have a mouse problem. And you could do it the old-fashioned way with a mouse trap, and it's kind of brutal, or the glue that's even gross, and then the poison, which is bad. But an inventor in Japan came up with a cat mew machine that constantly gives a mewing sound to frighten away rodents in your house. So it's the cat mew machine to reduce mice in your house.
So I do love animals. I really don't like cats. In fact, ironically, I stopped breathing. and I start sweating. So I think definitely a questionable device.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the market for like mouse pest control is maybe a little saturated.
Okay.
I think I would skip it.
All right, very good, excellent. Well, great to hear your ideas here on what to ship or skip. What we wanted to do is obviously move into our PM Power Moves section.
Powering up.
Power move.
So this is where we get into the details of the, maybe day-to-day stuff or big things that are happening in the world of product management. And so we wanted to talk to you, Blanca, about Breathwrk. Maybe you could give us a little bit of intro, being head of product, of what is Breathwrk, what do you do as a company, how do you help folks, and then we can dive into some of the things that you've been working on.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm proud to say that Breathwrk is the leading breathing app in the Apple App Store. It's also on the Google Play Store. We are a health and wellness app focused on using different types of breathing techniques and patterns to improve your mental and physical well-being. We are 100% science-backed, so that's really neat. All the breathing techniques that we teach you in the app actually have real physical and mental benefits that can be proven with science. Navy SEALs use this, Olympians use it, professional athletes use Breathwrk to improve their physical ability. So it's legit. It works really well. All you have to do is feel it. 20 seconds and your whole physical state changes and mental. So that's Breathwrk.
I see. So obviously breathing is something we all do, but perhaps, we're not doing it the way that experts would do it, or maybe we're not realizing the benefits of it. And this app really gives you all of the best techniques of how to actually use something that we clearly do all the time to great effect, right? For both mental and physical health. And as you said, I mean, obviously, even from my experience, like when you run, synchronizing your breathing with the exertion is very important, right? Otherwise you get really, really tired and winded, and then you can't run as effectively. So that's just like my personal experience with it. So I can totally see how having professional coaching to understand how to use breathing, swimming is another great example, right? Where if you don't breathe, you drown. It would really, really help here. So this is awesome. And so Breathwrk has been around for quite some time, right? Can you give us a little bit of history and kind of evolution maybe of the company and where you are at now?
Yeah. So Breathwrk's been around since 2020. It was founded by two really awesome humans, Addie and Max. They are polar opposite co-founders, and I think that's what makes this work. So Addie is, how would I explain her? She's super interesting, very intelligent. She built out a couple of data marketing companies that she successfully sold. So she's very data driven before data was even trending. But you meet her and, she's got long blonde hair. She goes into meetings barefoot. Her dog is like another human, and she spends her life on a mango farm in Mexico surfing. And then you have Max, who is very much like clean cut. He went to USC. He studied neuroscience, and his whole thing is make it science backed, make it something that will actually help people. I think he's got a very good heart, and I think the combination of these two people is what brings the magic into the app. But long story short, we've been around since 2020. We have an app. We do sell to bigger partners. We have a platform that people can use there. but essentially we give exercises, breathing exercises, and we've evolved since we started to give breathing classes. We have a breathwork coach. We have a very, very huge community online, especially on TikTok. We have over 3.5 million people on there that are very, very vocal. And yeah, it's been great. I joined about 2.5 years ago, and
Wow.
I'm still here, standing strong.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. And so obviously this app is for like individuals, right?
Mm-hmm.
To practice breathing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so typical B2C sort of approach, business to consumer, right? The apps, as you said, on the typical app stores, and you can just pick it up and use it yourself.
Yeah, we have a subscription model. Either you can pay monthly or on an annual basis, and we unlock everything for you in the app through that.
And those are all like the classes and all the breathing techniques. So once you use, there's like a free trial to sign up, and then you get the add-on.
Yeah, if you purchase the yearly subscription, you get 7 days free trial.
Okay.
You can test it out, access everything. We have classes, which are really long form breathing experiences, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And then you've got exercises, which are really like short and sweet, almost like a breath mint. You take it and you feel it. And then we've got other types of combinations of those things that we change on a daily basis. So you have something different every single day.
And does it tie into any wearables as well?
That's in the roadmap.
Oh, okay.
We want to tie into wearables. We want to have biofeedback. We're definitely leveling it up this year, which I'm super excited about.
Awesome. Wow. We'll talk more about that. But first, we wanted to go a little bit back in time, right? So a lot of health, particularly mental health, et cetera, came into real spotlight during the pandemic, which I think we're all trying to forget, but it unfortunately did happen. And so a lot of folks were relying on this. One of the key things that we found is a lot of our employers started looking for additional benefits, particularly around health, right? And Blanca, I think Breathwrk made a particularly interesting decision during that time around the app and around the way that you went to market. Do you want us to kind of jump into that and talk to us about that?
Absolutely. So, you have to remember Breathwrk is still a startup. We're a very small team. We have limited resources. And so you need to be efficient and smart about how you spend your time and your money. And so we had the 2 apps on both app stores, and we were seeing incremental growth, which was really great. Except for Addie, the other co-founder, was super, super gung-ho about B2B. Hey, we need to take advantage of, selling our product in bulk and in masses. If you go one by one, there's a limit of how quickly we can grow. So let's target big companies. And our other founder was like, absolutely not. We just started. We can't just do everything at once. Like, there's only so many people in this team. People don't have experience in this field. So let's just focus on the app. And me and the head of web, and at the time, Ben, he was, I think he was in marketing, but he had this like hunger to grow. The 3 of us, we kind of put our heads together on the side secretly. It was definitely like a little secret mission. And we said, hey, we're getting these emails from big companies asking if we can give them a package deal. At that moment, we didn't have anything to give them. And we said, okay, well, can we build it? Can we do it with the 3 of us and build it? And so we worked really closely together. We kind of interviewed a couple of the people who had emailed us and asked them, who do they use? There's Calm and Headspace. And like, we did a little bit of snooping around, see what people were asking for. And then I went in there and started to design some things. And then the head of web was like, okay, well, I can't build that. So we need to design it this way. There was a lot of back and forth. Yeah. As it always happens, you have big dreams and then you need to like squeeze them into a different type of funnel.
The reality funnel,
Yeah,
unfortunately,
the
right?
reality funnel, exactly. And in a really, really fast time frame, we built out a dashboard which showed, well, first of all, we used Stripe to help us with all our bulk subscriptions. We said, okay, we can sell it in bulk. You can buy 500 subscriptions and we give it to you. We might have borrowed a couple of ideas here and there for helping like HR and benefits teams to onboard their employees into using Breathwrk, but you don't need to reinvent the wheel, you know?
Correct. Use what works. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And then we had a little dashboard that said, you know, what the amount of users that were using certain types of breaths, if they were saying that it was helping them or not. And probably within a week and a half, like 10 business days, we built it, we tested it, and we started to get feedback on whether employees were using it or not. And it was positive feedback. So we brought it back to the C-suite and we said, hey, we can do it. Look at this. And that's how B2B started. It was very basic, but it kind of caught some fish.
That's amazing.
Yeah, one thing I was going to add, it's always hard when you have two founders with two different views on something. And you said Addie was more data driven. Did she see certain data elements that made her feel like this is something we need to move into? And I know Max has said more scientific. Did he just not see the data, or he just, what was kind of, well, I guess, give us in the inside room of what it was like between the two and how she kind of talked into using the data to drive this?
Yeah. So obviously I can't speak for them, but
Right.
from my experience on the other side, yeah, Addie from the very beginning wanted to be B2B. She was like, look, that's the biggest way we can eat up the market. It makes more sense. You sell more units, we make more money. And then I think Max, it was more of his like first child. So he was much more protective over it. And I think he was also concerned about us. We were a small team and it was like, you know, there's so many things we need to do and we need to catch up to these giants in the market that are out there already. And do you really want to spread yourself so thin? And I think he was very like just nervous or, you know, about upsetting the team dynamic if we added another giant thing on our plate.
I see. But because you kind of had that little like almost Skunkwork model where you can kind of break off on your own, you were able to test it, build up a quick, sounds like a pretty quick prototype in 10 days, test the market, get the customer feedback. Then you come back to C-suite with, okay, you know, we were debating about this. The data showed that B2B made sense.
Yeah.
Here's initial launch, what we did. It didn't stress the team, but allowed to validate the theory that this is a good place for us and we can grow.
Absolutely. And from there, that's when both Max and Addie were like, okay, well, let's hire a salesperson. Let's hire someone who's done this before. Expand the team a little bit more with people who have experience. And let's go for it. Especially, I think the other thing is that, you know, Ben, Aaron, and I showed so much interest in it that it was easier for them to say yes as well. If your team, you know, yes, we have 1,001 things that we have to work on and you're going sprint by sprint and you're stressing and you're not getting to things and it seems like a never ending road. But the fact that we had just innate curiosity and interest in building this part out and growing. You know, the other thing that was really cool that like immediately once we really put everything into motion and we got the green light, early on, we got a very cool client who tested it. So they were like, okay, we'll do a little test with like, they get little kids to start playing the sport. And then those little kids maybe end up being those professional athletes. And so they're like, let's try it with these little kids. And you would do breathwork before the game started, breathwork at the halfway point of the game, and breathwork at the end. And they did that for 2 weeks. And you could see the results in terms of their endurance.
No kidding.
Like increase significantly, which was really cool. And then once the test ended, the kids kept using it and kept asking for it, because not only does it help you physically, but it also ended up being like a way for them to
team,
connect
right?
and come together and say, okay, we can do it. Yeah, exactly. So it also increased morale, which obviously it's not something that we test for, we put in our metrics, but for me personally, I thought that was cool. But the really cool thing was the fact that their endurance and their physical ability improved dramatically.
Yeah, that VOT max is supposed to be like a very important indicator for longevity too. So, I mean, if you it's one of those things where you can track that, see the progression of it. It does have, ties very clearly to, health benefits, longevity, better sleep, kind of just again, a ripple effect of health across the thing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, and getting this app up in 10 days, did you use the app to kind of calm yourself down to make sure you were focused and
it's all about endurance, right, Kyle?
I'm assuming the app helped your own progress. I mean, I would use it.
I know, absolutely. So I've grown up in a family where we use a lot of like holistic approaches to make you feel better. We use vitamins and food and, all those types of like herbal teas that I don't know what. I've been meditating since I was really young, and breathwork, I came at it at a later stage. I read a book called Breathe by James Nestor. I highly recommend everyone to read this book. It definitely changed my life. You can always read the book about Wim Hof. I don't know what it's called, but he's this, I think he's Swedish, I don't know, Northern European man who uses breath work to literally change his body temperature so that he can like climb Mount Everest in a t-shirt.
I saw that. I think they're doing a documentary about him. He's nuts. Not nuts. He's not nuts.
He's extreme. Let's just say.
I mean, he literally, I saw him like, he was extreme. That's why. But I saw him like run with a swimsuit up Mount Everest on a video. And there was one story, he was training to swim underwater, 50 meters underwater of ice. Yeah. And even his training, he bypassed it. He went past it. And he was like trying to, because his eyeballs froze. But he was able to survive. He's the things he can do are incredible. And he does say breathing was like one of the main things he does to get himself ready and armed to do these challenging things. It's great.
No, breathwork is life-changing. It's amazing. I want everyone to be doing it because
he should be a sponsor. He's a
spokesperson.
Yeah, that's true.
Spokesperson.
It's really like, it's amazing because it really changes. You can just do it and you feel it immediately. You don't have to find a secret spot to meditate. I love meditating and like wait 15 minutes and maybe you feel it. No. This, you actually feel it. But long story short, I was already into all of this. I would use breathwork a lot because I would get very nervous, going into work or at school. So it would help me calm me down. Or if I needed to study and cram, like I did in college, breathwork helps too, because it brings oxygen to your brain. It helps you think clearly. It helps you to retain more information. I mean, I know it sounds like it can do everything, so you don't really believe in it, but it really can do everything. And there's proof to it. So I do breathwork. I love breathwork. And again, I really do think everyone in the world should be doing it.
Getting back to obviously launching of the B2B app, I mean, what an amazing story, starting with the Skunkworks project, finding a customer who not only proved that breathwork brings the same benefits to individuals as you already knew, right? Because this was all proven from your B2C moments, but then they actually gave you even more insight, which is that when groups do it together, there's additional benefits there, right? And so you started this in about 2 years ago, and how's that going today? I'm assuming you obviously continue to have a B2B presence, I'm assuming?
Yeah, we do. We have a B2B team. We have a lot of different types of partners. So definitely in the sports side of the world, we've got partners there for their athletes and then for the employees that work in the company themselves. We're like in the nutrients and vitamins partnerships, hotels as well, which is really interesting. They'll have it in their either in the lobby or in the rooms. When you go to the hotel room and you have like the classical music, whatever, well, now you can also have Breathwrk there. We have little small restaurant businesses. We have different types of studios, especially across LA. Obviously, we have a lot of tech companies too, because everyone's online and people
Stressed
are
out.
burning out.
Yeah.
And
No, that
stuff
doesn't
like
happen
that.
for us, Kyle, right? We're fine.
Yeah. We also have a lot of partnerships that are in the works now with companies that have, I guess, aids to breathe better. So whether it's nasal strips or a special pillow, like we are also in that realm too, which is, to me, that's really interesting as well.
What about the scents, like the lavender scents? I mean, I've seen like you said, those hotel rooms. I get like a bottle that helps you sleep better. Now you're not supposed to drink the bottle. You're actually supposed to put it on like a piece of paper and smell it. With this for those users out there.
Are you saying this from experience? Have you had?
Well, I didn't know. I didn't read it. I was like, why they give me a little tiny bottle of lavender vodka? Do not drink the little bottle of lavender vodka. It's for breathing. But it did help. Like when you put it on like your chest and breathing that in kind of really opens up the nasal passages and comes to really enjoy the experience. Are you guys partnering with those as well, or
not as many scent companies that I'm aware of. I don't think any scent companies
yet.
But interesting. I will pitch this to our B2B team.
Wonderful. Blanca, again, thinking about obviously the business model, et cetera, can you tell us, a little bit more about, how you're managing your subscribers and, any market trends that you see? Particularly would love to have you talk about, so we talked about free trials, you're obviously then have a paywall, right? Any experiences with that? Any thoughts about, maybe switching from a subscriber model to a consumption model? Just the pricing, packaging, and go to market there.
Always testing our paywalls and our pricing, always, to understand, how high can we put a price point before, conversions go down, before people start complaining. But yes, so we have a subscription model at the moment, a yearly and an annual plan. Last year, Max, the co-founder, myself, and the VP of engineering, we had a little idea to see, okay, well, can we gamify the app? Can we do something different with our pricing? So we didn't want to bother our users. They are very price sensitive. So we created a little like side app, which was kind of like when everybody was making all those, girlfriend AI chatbots or like companion AI chatbots. We said, well, why don't we do a health chatbot? So on the side, we had Breathwrk going full steam ahead. But on the side, we built this little app which played around with two things. Would a AI health coach help? And a AI health coach who would, walk you through any sort of mental or physical issue that you're having using Breathwrk, as if you were a one-on-one coach. And let's play around with pricing. So since you asked about pricing, I'll just dive into that. We tried something where you would pay a monthly super low fee. It was like $2 or $3. However, once you got into the app, there were doors that you had to unlock. So if there were topics that you wanted to talk about, you had to pay an extra $1. If you went over 100 characters, you had to pay an extra like 30 cents. So we tried to play around with all of these different types of like padlocks on all these different topics and conversational things that you needed to pay for extra. It almost felt like people were resentful, like, oh, you make me pay, and then on top of that, I don't have access to everything else. So we said, okay, so maybe because we are a Breathwrk app and it's all about health and wellness, maybe this isn't the approach. Some other apps do it, but it's not for us. So this idea kind of came from a partner that we have. It's called Sweatcoin. And so their philosophy is the more steps that you do, you gain points or you gain sweat coins that you can then apply to different apps or partners. Like you could gain, if you walk 15,000 steps, you get whatever, $10. And those $10 can go to an app subscription, like $10 off of Breathwrk or $10 off of whatever. So we said, well, is there a way that we can gamify breathwork? At the end of the day, it could be equivalent to steps. Instead of taking steps, you're taking breaths. Can we somehow monetize that? Can we somehow say, if you do X amount of breaths for X amount of days, you unlock something, like you get 20% off for a month, or you can gift it to a friend, or you can buy an extra, breathwork journey. A journey is kind of like a challenge. So if you need to figure out how to sleep better, you could do 7 days of sleep at a discounted price. So we're still in the weeds of that. I'll have to come back and tell you if it's working or not. But I'm excited about it because, at the end of the day, we just want to get people breathing, because the more you breathe throughout a longer period of time, the more likely you'll see the benefits. So it's kind of like a twofold for us.
That makes sense. And that makes sense. And the only thing is, you don't want them, if there's a number of breaths, you don't want to hyperventilate, because then they're trying to beat the system. They'd be like, I'm going to try to get 100,000 breaths in 5 minutes to get that, t-shirt.
There's definitely
you got to be
a limit.
Careful. Yeah, to be careful of that.
No, we definitely put in a limit. Like you can't go over it. Like it doesn't make sense.
Anyway, now we go philosophical, but that's really interesting. You're right. I mean, gamification has that issue, right, where on one hand it creates a certain allure to do this. On the other hand, it has the downsides of potentially subsuming a lot of people's time, right? I mean, lots of people play video games, sometimes maybe more than they should. Speaking about a friend, of course, I wouldn't know. So that's very interesting. But I do like the virtuous cycle of it, right? Is that, look, if we just focus on your health, then any which way that continues to kind of get you thinking about your health, which is walking, breathing, exercising, whatever it is, healthy eating, right? And kind of gets you into that game where, it is fun to be healthy. And it is, gets me additional benefits when I do so. I think that's amazing, right? Because it then gets people into this path and a habit of doing these things where they feel good and it's all beneficial, right? Rather than, some of the other things, which may not be necessarily healthy for you if you, continue to do more of it.
Yeah, me too. And I'm sure that we'll get creative and we'll figure out other things out. But something that I love about working at Breathwrk and the fact that we're in a small team is that you get to do these little experiments here and there. You get to be a scavenger hunter, figuring things out and being, that didn't work. Okay, let's move this way. Ooh, that's interesting. Every day is really fun. Yeah.
And I liked how you did focus on that user, because when you first try to do that and the users got the negative feedback, you kind of knew when to course correct. Like you didn't force it to them, and you always go back to the user and work from there. And you doing that really kind of helps. Okay, this isn't the way we should go. Which is
100%.
Very, very critical. Yeah.
Yeah. And something, I said it before, we have a huge community online and people are very vocal and they give us a lot of ideas. Like a lot of ideas that we have inside of the app come from our community. It's like, hey, do you have something for a stuffy nose? Do you have something for a migraine? Things that maybe we hadn't thought of before. And we're like, oh, absolutely. So we'll test things out there. And then if it's something that people are like, wow, it really works, we love it, then that's when a lot of the times we bring it into the app and we have it like a thing. So that happened, for example, with stuffy nose, and that was really, really
unbelievable.
Cool.
Yeah, so feedback from the community, right? Ultimately, almost crowdsourced, validation of and value of some of the exercises you're doing or needs and demand from your community. That's awesome. Wonderful. Blanca, we're coming up here on time. Any insights or things you want to leave us with based on, launching B2B, or maybe just some of the experiences you had with pricing and packaging, or really anything else that's top of your mind?
I think if you're thinking about a product manager, I think in general, a lot of these things that we've talked about have been a lot of trial and error and like curiosity. So I think if you're curious, I think good things always come out of it, out of being curious and trying to understand, what you're building and who you're building for. Like, don't forget, I think a lot of these days with all the different technology and AI and like the sci-fi world we kind of live in, we forget that at the end of the day, we're building things for people, human beings. You, me, Kyle, we're all at the end of the day human beings that have similar needs. So just don't forget to always build for humans. And I think in terms of being a PM, we're always navigating through ambiguity, and we might have roadmaps and data and user surveys and all these like really cool, fun points of information. But at the end of the day, you're building something that's probably new, or you're building something for a clientele that has never, been served this before, or in a market that's totally different from someone else. So do as much homework as you can, but know that you'll never know everything 100%, and just trust that you can do it, and you can always pivot. And then the other thing is that, yes, product managers, we build things, we ship things, and we talk to users. But at the end of the day, we're also kind of the emotional anchor of a team. So, you have to be, positive, and you have to have, your team's well-being in mind as well when things pivot, when things don't go well, when people lose motivation. So I think those two things are really important, to be an emotional anchor and, yes, ship the product, but keep spirits high.
Amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Blanca, thank you so very much. Sure. Wonderful discussion. Really great insight into an area that I haven't really looked into. Really exciting to have you on the podcast. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much. It was lovely to chat with you guys and to talk about Breathwrk. So awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, that conversation with Blanca was amazing. Just really, I liked her energy. I liked how she kind of talked a little bit about the kind of the founders and kind of the economy of both of them, and how kind of help build the product together. And then when you talked about that Skunkwork product for the B2B side, I mean, we've done that we did Skunkworks for our workflow and collect module. It allowed us to test the market and test a theory that we had, and kind of navigate the landscape there of the new market. So that was a great story to hear about that. And then again, like with any kind of pricing complexity, you got to figure out what makes sense. How do you maximize your price without getting churn? How do you kind of create some kind of function ways of getting more customers and paying, premium for your content? So all great lessons, all great things. Talking to her, what would you take out of there, Lucas?
Yeah. Really wonderful to talk to Blanca and get her perspective. Look, working on a small team like she does, right? It's amazing to see the iterations and the successes that they can go through. But like, I think the key thing that really resonated with me is, one, lead with a vision, right? Like you have some hypothesis, you believe that the future can be, in that particular case was B2B. Not everybody may agree with you, right? Seek validation early and light. I mean, their proof point was in 10 days, right? Week and a half, and they had something, and obviously this was all based on feedback from customers. So, they weren't completely shooting in the dark. Like there was already organic demand, and they just realized upon it, they started really light. Clearly, there were concerns that their product isn't actually robust enough to compete with, I'm sure, the behemoths in the corporate world and things like that, right? There's always this idea that, we can't possibly, it's so much more complicated, you don't even know. And it turns out that actually, if you just start, right, and validate those assumptions, like sometimes it really is not that hard to break into a particular segment, et cetera, if you have the right product and the content. And then sometimes you just have friends, you have friends out there that believe in your product, in your vision, and they will help you along. I'm sure the early adopters of their product really supported it, gave feedback, right? She says that they have a very vocal community that kind of talks to them. So that means, they have just a really crowdsourced way of getting ideas in, and they can just pick and choose from which ones they go after. So obviously that can be hard to pick which one, because you can't do them all. Right. So I'm sure there's a lot of conversations as to which ones make sense, which ones don't. But I'm glad that they took a chance on this particular thing, and looks like it was very, very successful. So I think lots of things to take away from here. And again, if you combine product with engineering, and maybe a couple of other folks, right? There were 3 of them that were working on this. Just amazing things can happen when you have a vision and the technical capability to deliver something. And you can have both parties work really tightly together. Like, great things happen.
And don't forget the happy referenceable customer they had. I mean, without that, it was like the
what a story, right?
You're right. The product manager engineering is important, but having that referenceable happy customer to kind of nudge you along and guide you, that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, that is the epitome of, I think, really successful product evolution and development, honestly. So anyway, really amazing story. And it's fun to see it distilled like this. I'm sure, there were dark days and there were happy days, right? And all that. But it's good to kind of look back and
just breathe when they get dark.
Exactly. So amazing stuff. Anyway, great session with Blanca. Really great to have her join us here. I hope you enjoyed the podcast as well. And please join us on the next episode of Can I Speak to Your Product Manager?